is Mystery Meat's Fine Dining podcast, helping foodies discover new restaurants and new friends. Here's your host, the founder of Mystery Meat, Seth Ressler.
Hello, and welcome to Mystery Meat's Fine Dining podcast. This is the podcast for foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's how it works. I'm your host, Seth Ressler. Each week, we talk to a food expert from a different city, and we find out the inside scoop on their town. Find out what's going on, what you need to know about the culinary scene. This week, very, very exciting, we are talking to one of the organizers of Southern California's largest food and wine festival. 800 wines, 70 San Diego restaurants. It's absolutely huge. We're going to talk to Michelle Meter, who is one of the organizers. It's going to be great. We're going to find out what we need to know about San Diego, talk to her about the San Diego Wine and Food Festival that's coming up here in mid-November, and then we're going to play Out of the Frying Pan. First, before we do that, I need to make sure everybody knows what Mystery Meat is. Mystery Meat is a social dining group. We started in Boston a couple years ago. Now we're taking it to other cities across the country. Basically, it's a bunch of foodies who get together to have a meal at a restaurant. The catch is this. They don't actually find out where they're going until 24 hours in advance. So you've got to be an adventurous foodie if you want to do this. This is not for the faint of heart. All right, but if you are, and you want one of these dinners to come to your town, go to mysterymeat, MEET.org, click the big orange button that says Get an Invitation, and sign up. And when we see a lot of people from your city who want to have a Mystery Meat dinner, we will put one together, and we will make sure that we invite you. All right, let's turn to Michelle Meter. Michelle.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, I'm glad you could join us. Now, you are a partner in Fast Forward Events, and you are one of the organizers of the San Diego Wine and Food Festival. And we should point out, congratulations, you're now a mother.
I am. Yes, I am. I have a 2-month-old, a little girl. We're absolutely thrilled.
Oh, nice. Congratulations. So if we hear any crying in the background, we know what's going on. We know how that is.
Right. She takes part too.
All right. So let's talk about Fast Forward Events, your events company. You've been producing events for 20 years. Tell me how that started.
Well, actually, my partner and I started our agency back in 2004, but we've been producing events together for some time before that. And he's an enophile and a very avid wine collector. And he had been going to a lot of the different wine festivals around the country. And one day we were sitting around really just kind of talking about if we were to start a business, what would it look like and what we would want to do. And we decided that really tapping into our expertise as event producers and then pairing that with a passion, which we both had for wine and food, that we really couldn't go wrong. We really looked at San Diego as a market that was really growing in terms of its appreciation for fine dining, and thought that the opportunity really existed to bring a world-class wine and food experience to the city as something that would both heighten the profile of the chefs who participate and also give the city a signature event that would enhance culinary tourism during, an off-peak season. So here we are.
Yeah, and this year's the 9th annual, correct?
9 years, yeah.
Wow, congratulations. Tell me a little bit about how it's changed over the years. How have you seen it grow?
Oh, it's a complete different version of itself from when we launched back in 2004, not just in terms of the size. I mean, we had, I think when we first started, about 60 wineries and maybe 30 restaurants that initially participated that first year, and it was mostly a local audience that attended. The event now, like I mentioned, is really a culinary tourism draw for the city of San Diego. We have people who come in from all over the U.S. and internationally to attend this event, and we draw just over 10,000 people throughout the entire week. And it's really become kind of a who's who of culinary excellence in Southern California. We bring in chefs from all over the U.S. We have 70 chefs who participate here from our local dining scene. So a lot of that didn't exist the first few years that we launched, and it's just really morphed into something that is an event that, a serious wine and food enthusiast or even someone who just, really is kind of a novice can take part in and enjoy.
All right, and before we talk about the festival, let's talk a little bit about the city of San Diego. And you've been there for a while now. If I'm a foodie and I'm coming to San Diego for the very first time, I've never been there, what do I need to know? I mean, what is San Diego known for from a culinary standpoint? Are there certain neighborhoods or districts that I should go to? Give me sort of the 5-cent tour.
Gosh, San Diego has changed so much in the past few years. Obviously, with our proximity to Mexico, you will not find better Mexican food anywhere in the United States, and I'm a little biased on that. So there are just some truly authentic and amazing restaurants to hit up. I mean, there are some great places down in Barrio Logan. I think that that's an area that people should explore. There are also Mexico City-style restaurants that are in San Diego that are a little off the beaten path that, people should take a look at. There's a restaurant in East County, San Diego called Rana's, which has some of the best Mexican food I think I've ever had. It's just really incredible, and I frequent it. I think one of the things we're seeing in the city, too, is the emergence of the neighborhood eatery. There's a big movement for these smaller seating restaurants and menus that cater to the local diner. And so you see that a lot in areas like North Park and South Park in San Diego, the Mission Hills area. You also see it in some of other pockets emerging that didn't normally have that focus, like La Mesa, which is East San Diego. They're starting to have a few restaurants pop up that focus on those neighborhood eateries. So I think that that's something if you're coming in to take a look at. I think there are wonderful restaurants downtown, obviously, but feel free to explore beyond downtown. Also, Our Little Italy has some fabulous restaurants. Bencoto is a wonderful new place that just opened up that I think people should take a look at.
That's fascinating because I don't necessarily think Italian food when I think San Diego.
Yeah, it has a thriving Italian community, and the Little Italy Strip in San Diego has some fabulous cuisine and good wine bars too. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, very good to know. All right, let's talk about the Wine and Food Festival. Like I said, this thing is absolutely huge. You've got over 800 wines there. Now, one of the things I've learned over the years, don't try to drink all 800 because you won't make it and you won't be invited back. But it's going on November 14th through the 18th, and it's absolutely huge. Like you said, over 70 San Diego restaurants. One of the things that impressed me as I'm going through the program guide, you actually tell people what sort of attire to wear to each of the events happening throughout the days.
Well, we believe you should be fashionable, that's for sure.
And let me ask, just because you go to New England, the attire is a little more formal than it is out in California. When you say sophisticated casual, that means I put a sports coat over my surf shorts, or what does that mean?
Well, maybe over your jeans.
Okay. And are flip-flops okay or no?
At our grand tasting, absolutely. I mean, it is San Diego, and it's laid back. And I think that that's one of the pleasures about living in this community is that we live in such a beautiful, beautiful city, and it's impossible to take yourself too seriously here.
Nice. All right, so the full event kicks off on Wednesday, November 14th, but you actually do have something going on Sunday, November 11th, before the event starts. That's the Uncorked launch party. Tell me what happens there.
That is our big kickoff. That's our party where we celebrate the chefs who participate in the event. So it's our party for them. And it's our big kickoff out at Analog, which is in downtown San Diego. It's, great cuisine and wonderful music. We do our celebrity chef photo shoot there. We also have a big mixology competition that we do involving some of the chefs. It's just a really good party and a great way to start the event and get excited about all the things that are lined up for the week.
And who are some of the celebrity chefs that are going to be there?
It's a lot of the local chefs that participate in the event. So, we have chefs like Matt Gordon from Urban Solace and Ryan Johnson from Whisk and Ladle, Anthony Sensei from Burlap, Jason McLeod from Commerce and Underbelly. I mean, all these chefs come out, and it's just the big meet and greet, and they don their chef jackets and take part in the photo shoot. It's a really good way for people who are coming into town for the event or for locals to get a chance to actually meet and talk to the chefs before the week kicks off.
And I want to ask you about a couple chefs in particular that are from San Diego. Let's start with Anthony Sensei of Burlap.
Anthony is a great guy. He is a chef who's been in the market for a while. He used to be over at Harney Sushi. In fact, when he was with Harney, he participated in the Wine and Food Festival, and he actually won our Chef of the Fest competition. So he's back this year, and he's now the executive chef over at Burlap. Very creative, talented individual, young guy that I think we're going to be seeing a lot from.
And you also mentioned Matt Gordon. Tell me about him.
Matt is a restaurateur and a chef. He actually was one of the first chefs to really kind of bring in the whole concept of the neighborhood eatery with his restaurant Urban Solace. And he now owns another restaurant up in North County called Solace. And his whole approach to cuisine is, it's just everything is very comforting when you sit down in his restaurant. It's a welcoming environment. The food's really comforting. He's been in the restaurant industry for over 20 years. He comes from North County, Hillsburg, California, and has been in the market now for a while. The other thing too is his wife does the wine lists for them and does an amazing job with their wine program. And I believe he was also voted like best chef by San Diego Downtown News. He's got amazing accolades and he's a very talented chef.
And Urban Solace, you said that's the place to find him?
Urban Solace, and you got to go for the biscuits and the mac and cheese. It's incredible.
All right, done. I'm in. Let me ask you about one other guy I've heard a lot about, Scott Thomas Dolby.
Scott's actually also new to the market. He just took over as executive chef at Kitchen 1540. He actually comes to San Diego from the Four Seasons Resort in Whistler, and he was executive chef there from, I think, about 2008. So he used to manage the resort property during the Winter Olympics, and so he's definitely been put through the culinary paces. We're really excited to have him here in San Diego, and this is actually his first debut with the Wine and Food Festival, so we're really thrilled to see what he's going to do.
All right, and all these guys will be glamming it up for the photo shoot that's happening on November 11th, before the actual festival kicks off. And then the festival kicks off on Wednesday, November 14th. We should point out, in terms of tickets, you can buy tickets to any of the individual events, or you can buy ticket packages. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, everything is available a la carte. We do have packages where if you are planning to be here for an extended period, the packages will help you save just a little bit. There are packages also that involve hotel accommodations, and so that's really the way to go if you're coming in from out of town.
All right, so Wednesday, November 14th, we've got Swish, Serious Sips and Urban Eats. That's the event that night. Tell me what that is.
So that event is held at a really neat wine bar called 57 Degrees in just kind of the outskirts of downtown San Diego. And this is our event that really introduces some of the more edgy wines that are available on the market to wine enthusiasts. So we have about 25 wineries that participate. And it's a walk-around tasting where you can go around, taste from all the different wineries. And then the food truck craze is all the rage. So we have a big food truck festival that takes place too, with participating food trucks like Chop Suey and Devilicious Food Truck and God Save the Cuisine, and then live entertainment. It's a good time.
Let me ask if there's a couple of food trucks that you highly recommend.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot.
I know.
How do you choose one? They're all so good. I really like Chop Suey. I think that Deborah Scott does a really good job, and she's very creative with her menu. And then also the Not So Fast food truck is, they've got some really creative, innovative cuisine that they're serving. But, they're all so good.
All right.
I have a hard time choosing.
So we'll just have to go and we'll have to sample them all.
Right.
All right, let's talk about Thursday, November 15th. My birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Let's talk about what's happening there. What are the highlights Thursday?
Throughout the day on Thursday and Friday, we have this really big lineup of cooking classes and wine tasting classes. We bring in celebrity chefs, mixologists, sommeliers, master sommeliers, wine experts to come in and do a lineup of classes that are back-to-back. You kind of have to take a look at the schedule and decide which path is right for you. During the day on Thursday, we kick off with a class called Port Paired Decadence, and the ladies who are hosting this class are from Sweet Cheeks Baking Company, and you may have seen them on Cupcake Wars. They have won so many different competitions. We paired up with them to come in and do a class that really focused on the pairing of port with some of the confections that they produce. We also have a class that we're doing from the Dry Creek Valley, so we have a panel of winemakers who are coming in, and it's all about great Zinfandel. So, be prepared for purple teeth at the end of that class. But it's really phenomenal to have the winemakers there who are going to be there for this particular class. And that's going to be moderated by our master sommelier, Jess Spellman.
What sort of knowledge level do I need to have walking into this? I mean, if I'm somebody who's been doing this for a while, or if I'm somebody who's brand new to it and really doesn't know anything about wine, are there options for me?
Absolutely. You don't have to know anything. And that's really the beauty of this, is that that it's for the pleasure of people at all different spectrums of their understanding of food and wine. So you can come in as a complete novice and sit down and enjoy the event as much as someone who has a greater understanding and appreciation for the wines of the region. If we take Dry Creek, for example, what's wonderful about it is that if you are just learning about wine, you will start to understand some of the terminology. You'll start to understand how the winemakers approach their craft and how it affects the end production. And if you're someone who already enjoys the product and knows a little bit more about it, it just further enhances your skill set and further defines what you know about appreciating great wine.
All right, good to know. Any other classes, events you want to highlight through Thursday and Friday?
There's just so much, but a couple of things. On Thursday, we're bringing in Chef James Campbell Caruso out of Santa Fe, and he is a James Beard nominee. He's a cookbook author, and he's probably one of the leading experts of sherry in the United States. So he's doing a class that really focuses on the understanding of sherry and pairing those with Spanish tapas. We also, on Friday, from the cooking class side, we have Chef Terry Simon, who's coming out, and he's doing a whole class with Burger Classic and pairing those with adult milk shakes, which, how can you go wrong there?
Ooh, yum.
I would say probably one of the most exciting events that we're doing over those 2 days, though, is an event called 8 Decades of Barolo. It's an Italian luncheon that features celebrity chef Suzette Grisham, who's with Acquarella up in San Francisco. It's a Michelin star-rated restaurant. And what we're doing is actually giving 11 guests, only 11 people, the opportunity to taste from 8 decades of Barolo wines. The wines are listed on our website.
Wow.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and you start tasting the wines. The Barolo Reserva, the first one that you're going to taste, is from 1937. So we go from 37 to 45 and up through 1990 and 2004.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really like nothing else that we're offering at the event this year.
Oh, very cool. And then Friday night sort of culminates with The Vault, correct? The Reserve Wine Experience and Silent Auction?
Yeah, Friday night, after the cooking classes and wine tasting classes take place, everyone heads over to the Marriott Marquis, and we have the event called The Vault. It's our reserve tasting event, and all the wineries that participate in the festival are there pouring all their reserve wines. So we have close to 200 wineries there pouring. So it's a walk-around tasting, so you get to go and taste from all the different wineries that are there participating in the event. And then we also have a really big silent auction that takes place, and it's a big bottle auction, so there are lots of large format wines, lots of cases, wine tours and experiences to be bid on, and the proceeds from that auction go to benefit the American Institute of Wine and Food and their Culinary and Enology Scholarship Program. And we've awarded just over $240,000 in scholarship from the proceeds from our auction so far.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know that this is for a good cause, too.
It's an important thing for us to be able to give back to the hospitality community in San Diego. So it goes back to benefit all the restaurants and the hotels and the individuals who ultimately will wind up influencing what we eat and drink in the future.
It's nice to invest in a future generation. You're paying it forward.
We think so.
So let's talk about Saturday. This is November 17th. This is the grand tasting event. And this is also the Chef of the Fest competition, correct?
It is the Chef of the Fest competition. It's our grand tasting. If you're only going to go to one day, the grand tasting is it. It's on the Embarcadero Park North, just behind Seaport Village, which, if you're familiar with San Diego, is just the most picturesque venue in the city. You have the bay on one side, the marina on the other, the sailboats going by, tents. We have close to 300 tents with different restaurants and wineries and breweries and spirit companies and live entertainment, and it's just really a phenomenal 3 to 4 hours, depending on what kind of ticket you wind up acquiring for the event. And then, like you said, at that particular event, too, we have our Chef of the Fest competition, which this year is presented by Creekstone. And the chefs who are participating stand to win a prize purse of $50,000 in cash and prizes. And what this means for the individual who's there enjoying the event is that the quality of the cuisine at the festival, at the grand tasting, is the best representation of what these chefs can produce. They are in it to win it, and we are the ones who get to benefit and my daughter agrees. I don't know if you can hear
she's
her in
into
the
this.
background.
I can tell. She's like, yeah.
So yeah, it really is. It's phenomenal.
Talk to me a little bit about how many chefs are competing, who are these chefs, and who are the judges? How is this competition actually judged?
We have approximately 35 chefs who are actually competing in the Chef of the Fest competition, and the chefs are all local. They're all from San Diego. It's a locals competition, and the goal with it again is to put a spotlight on what our talented chefs are doing here in our market. So we keep the competition exclusive to chefs in the city or the county of San Diego. The judges are actually from the American Culinary Federation and also some of our celebrity chefs who are coming in from outside of the city. So we have chefs like Chef Gail Gand, who is a world-renowned pastry chef. She is formerly from the Food Network and has a restaurant called True in Chicago. We also have the Hardy Boys, who were the winners of the first season of the Food Network Star, and Chef Suzette Gresham, who is, I mentioned before, who's with Acquarello up in San Francisco. So there are celebrity judges, and then we have 3 members of ACF who are there judging as well. So the chefs at the Grand Tasting take their food over to the big judging tent. Everything is judged blindly, and the chefs then announce our top 5 winners at our Grand Tasting that day.
And then Sunday, if I'm hanging around, you still got some events going on then, right?
Yes, it's our Wine Spectator Celebrity Chef Luncheon, and that event leads off with a reception and a live auction. I mentioned before we donate the proceeds and everything goes back to scholarships. And the way that this particular event works is we fly in 6 celebrity chefs from all over the United States to actually do the event. So we have 2 chefs who do the reception. Both are out from DC. So after the reception, after we get to experience what these chefs create for us, we go in to the seated luncheon. And we experience a 5-course luncheon that is paired by a winemaker who is sitting at your particular table. So each table is hosted by a different winery. And the chefs who are participating in the luncheon part are Chef Gavin Kaysen, who is a chef de cuisine at Café Boulud in New York, Chef Carrie Simon, who is the chef owner of Carrie's Gourmet Burgers, and he, I think, is doing our final course paired with Creekstone. Chef Gail Gand, who I mentioned before, is coming out to do our pastry course. Chef Bernard Guillas, who's our organizing chef. He's with the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club and the Marine Room here in San Diego. Chef James Campbell Caruso from La Boca in Santa Fe. And then leaving us with our parting suite is Chef Michael Antonorsi from Chihuahua Chocolatier. So I think it's just one of those experiences where you get to sit down and taste from so many different world-renowned and accomplished chefs. It's hard for this event not to be my favorite.
That sounds great. You ready to play a game?
Hit me.
All right, this game is called Out of the Frying Pan. Here's how it works. I'm going to ask you for some recommendations, and you're just going to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. And really, the reason we do this is solely for the purpose of making our guests feel uncomfortable. So, you ready to play?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite restaurant to take out-of-town guests to?
You know, I really like Bankers Hill. The chef there is Carl Schroeder, and truly one of my absolute favorite desserts of all time, which is their butterscotch panna cotta. I could live off of that dessert. But it's got a great ambiance. It's just a really good neighborhood eatery. You always feel really welcome when you're there. The menu changes often enough. It's a seasonal menu. And Carl is just a very talented chef. So that's one of my favorite places to go to. And nearby there also is Cucina Urbana, which is a restaurant from Tracy Borkham, and that's another place I think that has a really great vibe. It's really vibrant when you walk in. The menu is very approachable, affordable. They have great plates to share, and that, I think, you know, when you're dining, having the sense of community is very important, and so I think Tracy really accomplishes that with Cucina Urbana. So I would say either of those 2 restaurants are probably a go-to place for me.
All right, good. You mentioned Mexican food and how great it is there in San Diego. If I'm to go to one Mexican restaurant during my time there, what would it be?
Well, I mentioned Rana's already. Can I have 2?
You can have 2. I'll give you 2.
Okay. I would say Rana's for Mexico City style food. And then
And tell me what that is. What is Mexico City style food?
the cuisine is just a little bit different. So rather than having the Baja influences, it has more the Mexico City sauces. My Spanish is horrible, so I'm going to completely murder the name of these. But the huitlacoches, the mushroom sauces. They also have the really beautiful fry breads that they use, and the cuisine is just different. And you find a lot more sauce involved in some of their cuisine. But then also in San Diego, there's a whole area, our Old Town area, and there's a restaurant that I know some of the locals might cringe a little bit from hearing me say this, but I still think it's some of the best Mexican food in San Diego. It's the Old Town Mexican Cafe, and their tortillas I covet their tortillas.
You're right there on the water, so I imagine the seafood must be pretty good. Do you have a favorite seafood restaurant?
Roy's is right there, and John Sloan does a really phenomenal job. He's the executive chef over there. Definitely has a different influence because it's influenced by Chef Roy Yamaguchi, but the nice thing about the Roy's establishment is they really give a lot of leeway to their executive chefs to create their own signature dishes on the menu, and I think John does a really good job of that. I also think Blue Water is phenomenal and probably one of my favorite walk-in restaurants to go to.
I read that you like Indian food. Is that true?
I love Indian food.
We need an Indian restaurant recommendation from you.
I would say Masala or India Palace. Both are great. India Palace is in Hillcrest, but a little bit easier to get into sometimes than Masala. And the India Palace is absolutely fantastic. And what I like to do is just go in and give them a carte blanche to bring me what they want, because I find that I experiment a little bit more. I try dishes that I wouldn't have normally tried, and they're very good about doing that.
Good. Last question. Do you have a favorite place for brunch?
Urban Solace. Urban Solace does a really, really great job at brunch. They have a great mimosa menu, and they usually have live music that's playing. The Urban Solace has a beautiful patio that makes you feel almost like you're in the French Quarter a little bit more than in San Diego, so you do feel transported a little bit. But Matt's cuisine is just soul satisfying, so I love going there for brunch.
All right, good. All right, you survived.
I did.
Congratulations. So
that was tough.
Michelle Meter is one of the organizers of the Wine and Food Festival in San Diego. You can find out everything you need to know at sandiegowineclassic.com. And if we want to follow the festival or follow you on social media, is there a way that we can do that?
You can actually find us on Facebook. Go ahead and put in San Diego Bay Wine and Food Festival, and we'll come right up.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about it today. This congratulations on 9 years of an absolutely fabulous event, and congratulations on being a new mother.
Thank you so much. Both are thrilling.
My name's Seth Ressler. This has been the Fine Dining Podcast. If you want to get links to anything that we mentioned in the show, you can find that on the website at mysterymeat.org. If you like this podcast, do us a favor, head over to iTunes and subscribe or leave a review. If you want a Mystery Meat dinner in your town, all you have to do is go to mysterymeat.org and click the big orange button and sign up for an invitation. And finally, if you're a food blogger and you'd like to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is go to mysterymeat.org and click the Contact Us link, and we would love to have you on and talk to you a little bit about your city. Thanks so much for joining us.
This has been Mystery Meat's Fine Dining Podcast. You can find links to the websites mentioned in this episode at mysterymeat.org/podcast. Thank you for listening.